Guess what I've got? That's right, the Undertale art book, and I'm gonna take a look through everything to see if it's really worth your money. Now, the nice part is, even every little bit has its own sort of designation, and there's basically like 6 chapters, as it were, and they're all the colors of the souls. But for starters, let's read off the opening text. Every video game has concept art. Undertale is no exception. I guess the difference here is that I'm not an artist. Lol. Hope you enjoy this glimpse into the world of Undertale anyway. Toby. Enjoy the art! I hope the things I made printed okay, because I had no idea what comic was when I was drawing the stuff. Teme. And we're going to begin with the areas. Starting off, of course, with the ruins. The original sketches for the layout of the ruins. A few people have picked up on this, but the ruins, and the idea of being trapped in an underground world as a whole, were inspired by Brandish on the SNES. When I first started working on the game, I used colored squares as placeholder graphics. I actually finished the entire demo before I started replacing them. Originally, N was going to be like MP for spells, but I never used it. This was one of the first working rooms in the game. I was pretty proud of it at the time. It took me a few tries to get the tile set that felt like it fit. Here's an early attempt at Merry-Go. Temmie's concept art for the first room of the ruins. From the moment I saw this, I knew working with her was going to be great. Temmie put a lot of empty frames on the walls at first. Always wanted to put something in the frames, artwork, maps, but it never did. The large frame over the staircase was going to have a map of the underground on it. Toriel's house was supposed to look like a house, but no one drew it. So I just went with default tiles. She was going to have a water wheel to explain where her house got electricity. It was also why I included the water earlier in the ruins. Asriel's room sketch. At the time, I thought he might have an interest in the outside world, so I suggested giving him an astronomy-themed mobile. Ruins tiles by EasyNam. Unused or changed objects. This is the kind of stuff Temmie had to work with. Toriel house concept. She originally had a bathroom. Ridiculous. The dining room was its own room? I don't even remember this. Snowdin. Temmie's illustration of Sans' appearance. More traps for the bridge. Halfway through Snowdin, I originally planned to have a cave full of ice fireflies, whose lights would dance off the walls of the cave, but I couldn't figure out how to do it, or how it would fit in with Papyrus and Sans' japes. Okay, you know that part after the last XOXO puzzle where you slide behind a bunch of trees and emerge on the other side? The original plan for that was that you were going to slide into a cave and emerge in this strange place full of all these funny and interesting visuals. But Temmie said it was probably an inordinate amount of effort for extremely little gain, so we never did it. Really early concept art of Papyrus's room, also some monsters. Temmie designed Loops and Vegetoid's face on the right page. Well, aren't you happy you read this? I originally envisioned Snowdin as a sprawling town, the kind where the camera could scroll in all 4 directions, but I couldn't think of that many houses or how to direct the player to Papyrus, so I ended up making it a line like everything else. This is closer to the actual version, but I ended up not having any houses on the bottom. Grillby's originally had a sign outside it. Or, well, I just forgot to implement it. Technically, this is in the game, but isn't it nice to see Merry-Go's gorgeous parallax background without flames and dogs in the way? Likewise, here's Temmie's background for the first shop. This is Sans' room. Weird colors shine underneath all day. Kitchen area, upper layer fades out when inside. Papyrus room. No girls allowed. No boys allowed. No small, white, and annoying dogs! Waterfall. I told Timmy that I wanted it to be a black marsh with glowing blue water. Here I am figuring it out. Part 1, Water type, Cave. Colors? 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 Part 2, Marsh. Water should be black because cyan would just look like shaving cream. Works like a dream. Use it all day and you'll be nice and clean. Bump, 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 bump. Gigi's sketch of the cousin's room. Added kinda late in development. Gigi's comment. I just think it's really cute. Like him. Timmy's Napsta house. You know, the inside of Napstablook's house probably should have been different than the inside of Papyrus's garage, but I never got around to changing it. Gigi's original design for the fish house. My only instructions were, make it look funny when it catches on fire. I like them all, but the vertical ones wouldn't fit on screen. Gigi's sketch of the final fish house. She notes Drac fixed the tail when he sprited it. Oh yeah, Drac sprited that, as well as the inside of Napstablook's cousin's house and the walk to the core. But let's not forget this. Undyne's house layout sketch. I figured she might have a pet fish. Too weird though. It'd be like a bunny walking a bunny. Marigo's improved version of Undyne's crag. Something one can like. Kenju tends to go above and beyond with his tile work, so he ended up making a lot of cool things, like eye crystals, geodes. I regrettably didn't end up using. More tiles done by Kenju. I got these near the end of development and didn't have time to implement them. When I started making this, I only really knew that it was a cave-like area, so I tried making assets that would fit in an abandoned mine, with mine tracks and decrepit support beams and whatnot. Turns out it was anything but abandoned. I also made up some random unique assets on a whim that could be used as landmarks or something, such as the geode, crystal mirror, and a crystal-encased mushroom, though it turns out there would already be a piece of cheese encased in crystal around the area. I can't take much credit for the glowing marsh area, though. Temmie made some jaw-dropping concept art of that, and it's one of my favorite pieces of art from the game. Kenju. Hotland, Core, Castle, and Outside. Being only given some concept art and no context of what kind of adventures would happen in this place made it interesting guessing what kind of extra tiles would be needed aside from the basic ones. Lava pipes, catwalks, technical gizmos, and some kind of boiling water bath. With such an ominous industrial look combined with jets of fire and spewing around the place, I did not expect it to be the location of a cooking show. Yeah, the core was going to have a different background on the second floor, but I ended up not implementing it. Temmie's concept art for the fire tile set, which Kenji used as the basis for his sprite work. This has been my desktop background for over a year now. I have no idea why this is here. By the time we reached Waterfall, Temmie was too busy with school to really do anything, so instead of spriting, I got her to sketch things and told her I would sprite over them instead. I'm not that good at spriting, though. I couldn't even draw the bed. This is the original outline of Alphys's lab. I put this in the game so Gigi would see it when she tested it. Fortunately, it was replaced with this. I don't even know why I try. It took a while to figure out how I wanted the resort to look. I commissioned Claire to do a few pieces of sprite work for Undertale during the fourth area. He's responsible for fan-favorite sprites such as Metaton's game show sign, Metaton's hands in battle, Metaton's disco ball, Undyne charging and diving with her spear, Mad Dummy Splash, and the bag of dog food that judges you for your sins, as well as a few others. There were going to be pillars to make it feel more high class, but they obscured too much of the screen. Isn't Marigo's background awesome? For some reason it looks way better without something in the way. If only it was like this all the time. I can't even tell the difference between this version and the final version, god damn it. Gigi drew these. I wanted her amazing color sense to capture that certain feeling of... Tope told me to capture the feeling of leaving a party and heading into a dangerous area, so I did that. Gigi. My original sketch of the core, which turned into Temmie's version, which turned into Kenji's tiles. One of Gigi's only criticisms of the game after she tested it was that the lead up to Mettaton's battle looked kinda boring, so she drew something cooler. Look at those arrows! Imagine if there was a huge arrow puzzle like in Team Rocket Space from Pokemon. Okay, now stop imagining that forever. Lots of fancy stuff here. Floor patterns, wall decorations, glass tiles, whatever that pyramid thing is. Is that a headphone jack? The blue circuit-like floor patterns were added at Toby's suggestion, and I think they really add nicely to the place. The glowing pits were an interesting element to the design of the place too. I quite liked the idea, but if I had to pick, I think my favorite bit from this tile set are the little CYMK tubes I made. Kenji. Originally, the walls in the True Lab were going to laugh at you in the middle of the long hallway. That's why the hallway is so unnecessarily long. However, I decided that would have been too scary for some, and too cheesy for most. But I'm actually pretty proud of how the True Lab turned out. I did every single graphical asset in myself. So it's purely me there. My sketch of the legendary room before Marigo tiled it. Isn't it natural for a game like this to end looking at a sunset? Marigo has drawn a lot of awesome pieces featuring clouds and cityscapes, so there was no way I wasn't going to ask her to do one for Undertale.